Most harm in relationships is not intentional. It is not loud. It does not come from cruelty. It comes from people trying to protect themselves. This is why good people can wound each other deeply without ever raising their voices. Without insults. Without obvious wrongdoing. The pain arrives quietly, through distance, misunderstanding, and emotional absence. And because nothing dramatic happens, the hurt often goes unnamed. We grow up believing that harm requires malice. That if someone truly loves you, they would never hurt you. But love and emotional maturity are not the same thing. Many people enter relationships with sincere intentions and limited awareness. They want closeness, but they also want safety. And when those two desires collide, protection usually wins. Protection shows up subtly. It sounds like withholding instead of attacking. It looks like shutting down instead of engaging. It feels like being misunderstood rather than mistreated. Good people hurt each other quietly when fear goes unrecognized. Fear of being blamed. Fear of being exposed. Fear of not being enough. These fears do not announce themselves. They hide behind reason, behind logic, behind silence. And silence is powerful. Silence can communicate withdrawal without confrontation. It can punish without accusation. It can create distance while maintaining the appearance of peace. This is why many relationships feel calm on the surface and cold underneath. No one is yelling. No one is leaving. But something essential is missing. Presence. Faith teaches that love is patient and kind. But patience without presence becomes emotional absence. And kindness without honesty becomes distance. This is where quiet harm begins. Not in what is said, but in what is never addressed. Most people do not know how to stay open when they feel threatened. They know how to endure. They know how to tolerate. They know how to function. But vulnerability feels risky. So instead of saying, "That hurt me," they say nothing. Instead of asking for clarity, they assume. Instead of admitting fear, they create certainty. Certainty feels safer than curiosity. When one person becomes certain, conversation closes. When conversation closes, understanding disappears. When understanding disappears, people begin to narrate each other internally. And internal narratives are rarely generous. This is how distance grows between people who still care. Quiet harm is rarely about what happened. It is about what was never processed. An unmet expectation. A misunderstood intention. A moment where someone felt alone. When these moments accumulate without repair, resentment does not explode. It settles. Resentment is not always anger. Often, it is grief that has nowhere to go. Grief for being unseen. Grief for unmet hope. Grief for connection that felt possible but never arrived. Good people hurt each other quietly when they confuse endurance with love. Endurance says, "I can survive this." Love asks, "Can we face this together?" Survival is inward. Love is relational. But survival habits are often learned early. Many of us learn to stay safe by staying quiet, by managing emotions privately, by not needing too much. Those strategies once kept us safe. But in intimacy, they keep us distant. Marriage and close relationships bring these strategies to the surface. Not to shame us, but to reveal what no longer serves connection. Faith does not ask us to pretend we are whole. It invites us to become whole. And becoming whole requires naming what we feel, not just managing what we show. When good people hurt each other quietly, it is often because neither person feels safe enough to be fully honest. Safety is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of repair. Without repair, silence becomes a substitute for peace. But silence does not heal. It preserves the wound. This is why time alone does not fix relational pain. Unspoken pain does not dissolve. It waits. Waiting for attention. Waiting for courage. Waiting for language. The work between two people begins when someone chooses clarity over comfort. Clarity says, "This matters enough to be named." Comfort says, "Let's not disturb the peace." But peace that requires emotional absence is not peace at all. It is avoidance dressed as harmony. Before assuming your relationship is broken, Ask whether something important has simply gone unspoken. Before labeling someone as careless, consider whether fear has limited their language. And before judging yourself for feeling distant, ask what part of you has been protecting itself quietly. Because awareness changes the nature of harm. What is seen can be addressed. What is named can be repaired. What is shared can be carried together. Good people do not hurt each other because they lack love. They hurt each other because they lack tools. Tools for honesty. Tools for repair. Tools for emotional presence. And tools can be learned. But only if we stop mistaking silence for strength. Before you move on, sit with these questions. Where have you been quiet when honesty felt risky? What might your silence be protecting you from? And if love requires presence, what would it mean to stay emotionally available even when it feels uncomfortable?